All right, everybody. So in this video, part two of this tutorial on how to fix this Shay and get it up to running tip-top shape, we are going to be changing the gears. And I have probably worked on 50 Shays, and of those 50, I think one of them did not have cracked gears. So 49 out of 50 Shays that have come across my workbench have had cracked gears. And the gears that crack are these bevel gears on the trucks. This particular Shay has all four of these beveled gears in the front and rear truck. All four of these have cracked gears, and once we get them off, we'll do a zoom in. Hopefully we're able to capture on my camera what a cracked gear looks like, so you can keep an eye out for what it looks like. A telltale sign that a Shay has cracked gears when it's running is that you hear a slight clicking sound. It'll be like click, 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 click. It'll also probably run either not at all or very poorly. So it's, but if you're looking at one of these, and if someone specifically knows that it has new gears, it probably has old cracked gears. And the gears crack. You know, you can find a Shay on eBay, brand new, never been out of the box, sealed box. I almost guarantee it has cracked gears, because the gears crack because the polymer plastic they used on the original drive shafts was very brittle plastic on a metal shaft. So during the hot and cold cycles throughout the year, the metal shaft expands and contracts, and eventually over 20 years these crack almost every single time. I've heard a few people say that they have original gears on their Shay and they're not cracked. That's amazing. Like I said, 99% of the Shays I've come across have had cracked gears. So enough of the intro. Let's get into actually replacing these. So the first thing we need to do is take both the front and rear trucks off. So there's one screw inside down in the truck. So you just take that off, pull that out. And we'll do the same thing to the front. And for now, we'll set the Shay to the side. So now, put these screws off to the side so you don't lose those, because they're the only ones on the engine. If you lose those, you're out of luck. You're going to be making a call to Bachmann to buy new ones. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to take these clips off. I can't say for sure, but it is my hunch that these clips that hold on these gears are directional. There's a top and a bottom to these. I've never taken a micrometer to them. I've never taken a magnifying glass to them, but every time I try to put them on in an orientation that wasn't the same as when they went in, they don't seem to go in. So when you take these clips off, pay careful attention to how they came off. When you take them off, do it deliberately and put them on your work surface in the same orientation that they came off. So for me, what I found the best way to get these off is actually with side cutters. I know you're probably cringing a little bit right now because that's dangerous, but you just put a little top and bottom pressure, and you just kind of grab it just a little bit, and you wiggle it and dance it off. And with enough persuasion, it does come off. And then, like I said, I'm probably going to block the camera right now, but you take it off and you put it on your workbench in the same orientation that it came off. So I'm doing the rear one right now. So I'm going to do the same thing on the rear one. Just grab it. It doesn't take much. You don't have to apply very much pressure, but you just grab it and you just give it a little side-to-side rocking motion, and you'll feel it when it starts to let go. Once it lets go, just grab it and you again place it deliberately on your workbench. So that's the same orientation that it came off. So that's also keep track of which direction the truck came off the locomotive. So this is the front, this is the back, this is the top, this is the bottom. So just try to keep mental note, and if you need help, remember, write a little piece of paper on your on your workbench. Say this is for the front, this is for the back, this is the top, this is the bottom. Keep everything oriented. I can't say for sure that it's necessary, but this is how I've always done it, and I've had success this way. The part numbers for the drive shafts are a little confusing on Bachmann's website. So the driveline rear, this is the part number. Driveline, this is the name of the part. Driveline rear On30 Shay S256S02. That's the rear drive shaft. And the part name for the front drive shaft is driveline without shaft S256X01-1. And I'll explain to you in a moment why it says without shaft, because it basically doesn't have the little, I don't know what's called, floppy part. What we're going to do is we're going to take it off the old front drive shaft and we'll put it on the new one. So for now, what we're going to do is on these pads that these clips touch, I don't know if it's glue or some type of adhesive, or there's some type of film on these that we need to sand off. So you can either do it with a nail file, just give it a little scrape and get whatever residue it's on there off. What I found I like to use, and I've had this tool forever, this is a little engraving pen. Actually used it to engrave my name and my Leatherman and everything. So what I do is I take this and I just give a little, you can kind of tell when that film comes off. Just rough that up a little bit. Just give something for the super glue to bite to when you put the new drive shaft on. So remember, I haven't changed the orientation of this. I've maintained that this is the front, this is the back, this is the top, this is the bottom. So now the new drive shaft, this is the rear, points towards the front. You just put it in there. And now you take your super glue and it's really hard. You have to put just such a small amount of super glue on these little pads. And you definitely want to leave room for squeeze out. So put it on the bottom of the pads when you're doing the bottom, and the top of the pads when you're doing the top. So you leave room for squeeze out to not get on the drive shaft itself. So just a little bit. You take these pads, deliberately pick them up in the same orientation that they came off. You put it on. Oops. You do have to kind of squeeze those little prongs to go in those channels to get it to go in. There it goes. And then you squeeze it. And I squeeze quite hard. You know, I'm squeezing like this from this journal over here to over here. And I'm squeezing quite hard. I really want that to hold the drive shaft in place, because if you let the bevel gear get away from the other bevel gear, it won't make very good contact with it. So you squeeze it real good for about 10 seconds. Squeezing quite hard. I would say probably about 80% squeeze. It hurts my fingers right now. That's how hard I'm squeezing. All right. Very good. Now the back one. Again, when you put the super glue on, when you're doing the bottom ones, put it towards the bottom of the pan, the thing, I don't know what it's called. When you're doing the tops, put it towards the top so you leave room for the glue to squeeze out and not touch the drive shaft. If you get glue on your shaft, you're going to have a bad time. All right. Same thing with this. You do kind of have to squeeze these little things together. And then you squeeze it. I heard a little click. This came off. Whoops. What happened here? All right. Now same thing. Squeeze quite hard. It should hurt your fingers. And hold that for a good 10 seconds. I'm squeezing both of them right now real hard. Like, it hurts my fingers. I squeeze them very hard. All right. Now you have new gears. And what I do here to know that you have a good install is I take my thumb and I put it on the back wheel and I apply just a little bit of pressure just to add some resistance, and I spin this, and this gear shouldn't slip on that due to the resistance. So it's still spinning good. Both wheels are still spinning. Same thing, put my thumb on the front wheel, and they're both still spinning. So that's a good install. If you need to adjust it a little bit, the way you do that is you would take pliers and you would squeeze this back piece here. You'd scoot it down a little bit to apply more force on these gears. But I'm happy with this one. It's working good. And then you apply a little bit of oil. This guy, just a drop there, a drop there. Let it spin. You should also, when you roll it on your workbench, you should feel it be smooth. There shouldn't be any hiccups. There shouldn't be any catching. There shouldn't be any grinding. The wheels shouldn't stop spinning. So when I roll this, it rolls a little bit. If yours stops or the wheels aren't spinning, there's a problem. So that's what you're looking for right there. You roll it, it keeps going a little bit like that. That's a great install. So on the front one, same thing. Take your side cutters, just apply a little bit of pressure, a little bit of rocking top to bottom to get this to let go. I have never ever broken one of these clips before, ever. I've probably done this 40 times and I've never broken one of these. I have spares. I think I have 20 spare of these clips, but I've never needed to use one of them. So on the front drive shaft, we have to salvage this union joint to go on the new one that doesn't have it. So you can do this with your fingers. You look at this and you can tell which side it needs to let go. So you squeeze it a little bit and it just kind of comes off. Oops, did the wrong one. Uh-oh. So it's this one. Squeeze, pull. So now you have the old union joint, and you put this on the new one. Goes inside, squeeze, just like that. So that is how you have a new front drive shaft with a new union joint. Put it off to the side. Same thing. I'm keeping note of these are the top, this is the bottom, this is the front, this is the back. I needed to take that engraver pen here again and clean these pads so the glue has something good to bite to. Just like that. All right, and the front drive shaft, the union joint goes towards the back, obviously. All right, and same thing here. Put a little bit of super glue when you're doing the bottom. Make sure you leave enough room for the glue to squeeze out towards the drive shaft. You're doing the top, do it towards the top of that pad. Squeeze it in just like that. You heard it click, hopefully. Give it a good 10-second squeeze. Again, squeezing, it hurts. You really want to make sure that glue is forming a nice bond. Make sure it's real tight. All right. A little bit of glue. Top and bottom. like that. Squeeze for a good 10 seconds. Okay, same thing. Put a little bit of resistance on the front wheel, make sure the back one still spins and this bevel gear isn't slipping on the front wheel. Do the same thing with the back. You can see the indent in my finger from how hard I was squeezing. So yeah, squeeze quite hard. A little bit of resistance on the front wheel. Make sure when it rolls, there's no hiccups, no grinding, no hiccuping. You can see this one is a little bit tighter, but it's still good. As long as when it rolls, you're not feeling any hiccups or grinding or anything like that. So I'm happy with that one. The dot of glue not glue, don't put glue. Oil. A little bit of oil there, a little bit of oil there. And give it a good spin. You can put a little bit of resistance on both wheels and make sure that they still both spin and the gear isn't slipping on the bevel gears. The slack is good. And then, yeah, happy with that. So that's how you put new gears on. So we're going to put the trucks back on the locomotive. This can be a little tricky sometimes. It is finicky. I haven't found a good way to do this. Sometimes you get lucky and sometimes it takes 5 minutes. So since we're doing it on video, I hope it goes good and it takes not 5 minutes. So I found if you can get the screw started like that, hey, nice. And it comes out. Alright, you don't have to watch me flail around with this. We're going to pause the video and then I'll come back when they're on. Alright, we're back. So there's one thing I want to show you guys before we actually put this front truck back on. I already got the back one on. To make a Shay go around a 15-inch radius curve and make it more comfortable going around an 18-inch or more, what I like to do is actually shorten the front drive shaft by about 2 millimeters. It really doesn't take much. If you take off too much, you run the risk of having the front drive shaft pull out of the slip joint on left-hand curves. So it really doesn't take much more to give this thing a little bit of articulation to be able to navigate 15-inch curves. So all I do is take my side cutters and literally like 2 millimeters. Let me see if I can give you. It really doesn't take much. I don't know, can you see that? How much that is? You cut that a little bit off. It doesn't take much, and then you have to file off that that sharp point you just created, just so it slides in and out of that slip joint like it's supposed to. If you were smart, you would do this before it was on the axle. But with this, just like 2 millimeters, seriously, don't do anything more than that. I wish I could tell you how many inches that is, how much thousandths of an inch that is, but I work in millimeters, so can't tell you. But just like that. So now, you're going to watch me struggle to put this back on. You put it inside the slip joint first, and you orientate it around, get the journal lined up, find your screw, and it's kind of like the opposite game of what's that? This operation game where you have to take those bones out without touching the sides. You kind of have to do the opposite of that, because as the screw's going down, you bump into it, it messes up the screw and it doesn't line up. Like I said, I've had this take 10 minutes, or it goes in relatively easily, just like that. So you got a nice movement there. Now you put a drop of oil on that joint right there and one on the back. Get that worked in there, and we're ready to go on the rollers. I do recommend, if you don't have a set of these rollers, I do recommend that you get a set. They are awesome. We are on, and now, with any luck, this will work. And you can see all 8 wheels have power. It's looking great. And at this point, you have a broken-in motor. We've verified all the gears in the motor shaft or in the gear tower are good. We lubed up the motor. We put new gears on. And if you're running a DC operation, congratulations, your Shay is done. It's ready to go on the layout and serve you for many, many years. I've been using new gears from Bachmann like this on one of my Shays for about 6 years now, and they're still going strong. So I do think they resolved the issue with cracked gears. But before we leave, I do want to show you. I want to show you what a cracked gear looks like. Let's see if we can do this. You can see, there you go. That's a good shot. You can see what a cracked gear looks like from the front, and if you do it from the side. Let's see, it's right there. And it's, maybe go towards the camera, more towards the light. Now, I'm sorry guys, but from the side profile shot there, you're really able to see the crack. So that's what you're looking for when you have cracked gears. So going back to the Shay here, what I would do now at this point is I would leave this to run for about 30 minutes. Again, like we did the motor, leave it run for 30 minutes in each direction. And so long as it passes that test, you have a Shay that, like I said, if you're doing a DC operation, you're ready to put this to work on your layout. If you're doing DCC, like we're going to go into in the next video, I'll show you how to install the coder. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This is how you install new gears on the Shay. Hope you learned something. If you have any questions or comments, please be sure to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.